Welcome back to ESA Summer 2021. We are raising money for Save the Children. Links to donate can be found below the stream. We would also like to thank Twitch and VSonic for sponsoring this event. And now it's time for English Ben running Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Arco, and welcome back, everyone. It's English Ben from the Abyss. I hope you don't mind, but it's quite late. It's currently 3:30 in the morning here, and people are sleeping. I'm trying to keep my voice a little more ASMR compared to how GTA was, so this will hopefully be a bit more chill. But I'm very honored that you could join me, and of course that Arco is here. He will be my the voice, the angelic voice in your ears, I'm sure. Are you ready to get this going, Arco?
I am ready. I hope you are as well. Good luck on the run, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. So, one quick thing to mention is that usually when I would do like attempts of this game, I would just start a new story mode. But there's kind of a small problem, and that it would play DMCA music, even though I have all the music turned off. And you know how DMCA is these days. We don't want to deal with that. So essentially what's going to happen is when I hit continue story mode, it's going to put me into like the first possible place where you can save. And then we're just going to start from there. So I've had this save like loaded and ready to go. And it will be exactly the same as if I were to start a new game. It's just going to be without the cutscene at the start. But all that you need to know is it just gives you an intro of the game, and that we are going to Hollywood as like a rising star of a skateboarder, and someone steals our stuff, and we're not very happy about it. So that's all you need to know. So if tech is ready, we will hit continue, and then time will start. So we'll go 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so the only other thing that we did was we also changed our clothes, and it is quite important, the clothes that we have, for 2 reasons. While we just do some tutorial stuff here. The first one is that we want to make sure that we have no shirt, which might sound a bit weird, but that's because later on there is a certain goal where we need to take our shirt off to like fit in with a group of skaters. And the other thing is that we don't spend too much money on our creator skater, because we need a lot of money for this run. And in sick difficulty especially, we're going to be grinding a lot of money later on. So obviously the less money that we spend now on things that we don't need, such as clothes, we just keep, the standard cargo shorts and the socks, then the less we have to grind later on, and the faster we'll go, which is great, because I don't want to keep everyone up until 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning if you've been staying up. So these goals here, it's the classic, like a bunch of different local skaters teaching you stuff. It's nice to get them out of the way as soon as possible, because in this game, you're not allowed to do anything unless you've been taught how to do it. So from the start, you can't like spine transfer, you can't do manuals, you can't do anything like that. So we're going to meet quite an important character now, who isn't really relevant to the story technically, but it's the homeless guy. There is a local homeless guy that is around on every single, or most of the levels. And it's kind of strange because he's homeless, but he will give us money if we complete certain skate challenges. So as you can see there, I did a couple of tricks for him, and he gave me $25. So he is the main source of income in this game. And as I say, we're going to need a lot of money later on, because in order to unlock certain sections of the map, you need to pay money. And usually in easy mode, you would get enough money just from doing graffiti, which is like something else that we'll be touching on in a brief moment. But that's not enough in sick. So unfortunately, the next homeless guy, ideally I would want to get 2 in Hollywood before we move on. But unfortunately, as you can see on the map at the top, he is all the way over there. So we're not going to bother, because that's like the worst spawn. So we'll just get a better one later on. So here's Joe Skater. He's the guy who stole our stuff. And we're going to just sit here for about a minute and not really compete against him. We just need to beat his score. But if we don't do anything, then he doesn't really do anything. So a lot of the kind of skate competitions in this game are like, if you get 1,000,000 points, they will get 1,000,000 points. So I'm going to not get 1,000,000 points. I'm just going to, grind a bit and just do some seemingly meaningless tasks. But what I'm actually doing is I'm increasing my stats. And stats are also super important. So if you were paying attention when we were talking to Mindy earlier, who is our little skate punk friend over there, she was talking about the fact that you can, every single day, there will be different stat challenges that you can do. And that makes your skater better, right? Like it makes him faster, it makes him flip quicker and everything like that. And that's super important in Sick as well, because obviously we're going to go super slow. The main differences in Sick is that your stats are really bad, so you're not a very good skater, basically. Like, usually you would be superhuman when you're playing Tony Hawk, and you can do backflips and whatever, but we won't be able to just do backflips on flat ground. So yeah, it's really important that we get as many stats as possible and as much money as possible. So as you can see there, we speak to a guy called Mutin. We're speaking to him again now, and he basically wants us to throw up like graffiti in certain places, and we need to do that 3 different times on every single map. So it does give us money. As you can see, it gives us $20 here. But we're not technically doing it for the money because the hobo would be more efficient. But we actually need to do it for the story. So later on, there will be a section where we actually have to like go around and do all of Mutin's challenges in order to impress another set of people later on. You'll notice that's a running trend in this game. So we're going to leave Mutin here for now. We'll come back to him, even though we've only done 2 out of 3. That's okay. But yeah, so we need to unlock like all the different tagging styles, which we do by completing all of Mutin's missions. So yeah, a lot of information to take in because this game is quite non-linear, even though it may seem linear, but it really isn't, especially on Sick difficulty. So we complete one more Mutin's challenge, and then we get introduced. Mindy is going to introduce us to another set of skaters, and they're going to teach us a bunch of different stuff as well. It's basically more tutorials. So in the meantime, while these guys are flexing their different tricks, I suppose it's probably best to talk about like what Sick difficulty actually entails. So I mentioned before about how like you are less talented as a skater when you're playing on Sick, but also like the actual gameplay is quite different too. So as I mentioned before, we need money for a lot of stuff later on, and things are much more expensive on Sick difficulty, which is why you'll see a lot more money grinding. But also, we have to complete every single story goal in order to progress to the next section. And that isn't a thing on easy or normal, which are the other 2 difficulties. So this is also kind of like a 100% run. It's technically not 100% because we don't get like all of the collectible gaps and whatnot, but it's pretty close. And I would say, completing all of the missions or the goals on the hardest difficulty is, I'd say that's pretty close to 100%. You've pretty much done all the game has to offer in terms of the story mode. So, in terms of lore, this section is just like impressing the locals, but these people that you'll be meeting, Murphy, Useless Dave, and Boone, they're like recurring characters through the entire thing. And they'll be, helping us on our quest to become the big dog in town. So the first kind of section of the story, once we've impressed these guys, is all about the skate ranch, which is just over there to my right. And the skate ranch is like basically a place where these guys have just been hanging out. But then Mindy has the idea to turn it into like an entirely new skate park. And it's actually quite funny because then the game basically devolves into like vandalism simulator. So like in the mid game the game classes it as like, taking certain pieces around the map, like, maybe a bell tower or a fountain or something like that, and we'll be taking it for the ranch. But obviously all we're doing is we're just destroying property and stealing. So it's very bizarre. This game is very morally ambiguous, to say the least. But yeah, so for now we're just learning some more transfer stuff. If you noticed, when I'm about to finish a goal, you'll get a lot of different things like this, where you have to like kind of mash and go, yes, I've learned all this stuff. Cool, awesome. What you can do is you can chain your combo into another cutscene, and then you can just like mash all the way through them while you're in a cutscene, so you don't have to stop and accept every single one of them. It's especially important for this one because you learn a lot of stuff here, because this French guy teaches you parkour. And, as you can see, there's a lot of different stuff. There's shimmying, there's wall running, there's doing flips off walls, and there's all sorts of really interesting stuff, to say the least. I'm also keeping an eye on where the hobo is. He seems to be in a decent location. He's near Murphy, so we should be able to get him later on. As I said, it's very important that I get at least a minimum of 2 hobo like missions completed before the kind of early game finishes, because we need to purchase our first piece of the skate park, and it's going to cost us, I think, $150. And if we don't do 2 bum goals, then we won't have enough money. So as you can see, now I've chained it through. I can mash all the way through this while still being in the cutscene. It's unfortunate that these cutscenes are unskippable, but it's just the way it is. So after we've completed this goal, you'll be seeing something called butt slapping, which is something that I've made like a submission video before in the intermissions in previous years. And essentially what it is it's from the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Online community. And it allows you to get a nice amount of height, whereas you usually wouldn't be able to. So as you can see there, it allows me to jump up here, whereas I usually wouldn't be able to just ollie up there because I'm a newbie skater, and even a pro skater wouldn't be able to get that kind of height. And essentially the way it works is that you drop off a ledge, like you don't ollie off a ledge, you just drop off it, and then you do a flip trick. And as you do the flip trick, you just mash A or whatever your like jump button is. And if you mash like fast enough and accurately enough, then you will be able to get like several jumps worth of height instead of just one. So it allows you to, get to places where you wouldn't usually be able to get, or, make some goals quite a bit easier, especially on Sick. So we're going to pick up these stat challenges here on the way to Murphy. The one that's important is the manualing for 6 seconds. Another difference, as I mentioned before about Sick difficulty, is it is very difficult to balance. So as you can see, we have the balance meter here, and even manualing for 6 seconds there wasn't particularly easy. So I actually forgot a goal here. That's fine, we'll go back and grab it. What you would usually do is talk to this guy as soon as getting the stat challenges. Here he is. Poor guy. I just left him in the dust. I was like, why is Murphy not spawning? But now I have my answer. So he just teaches you about bow and dollies. That's completely fine. And then we're also going to pay a visit to the hobo because he's in a decent location as well. He's just up here. Hopefully he doesn't give me anything too awful, because what the hobo can give you is completely random in terms of, as you can see, we've got gaps here. Gaps is fine. Let me think of where gaps are. It's difficult to remember on every single map where all the gaps are, but basically gaps are just like feats of skateboarding that you can do. So that rail hop was a gap. And there is also a gap here to do a vert transfer across this. And there we go. That's the money. And now we can see Murphy. So yeah, it's also possible, as you can see, like so far, the hobo has given me $25 every single time I've done something. The way it's supposed to work is that once you do more and more of any certain like trick for him, then he'll start giving you more complicated versions, and he'll start paying you $50 or $75 respectively. But he always starts off at starts off easy, as he says. And he'll always give you $25. But for some odd reason, because this game is, kind of buggy, you can sometimes just get $50 anyway, and you can just skip, having to complete the intermediate challenges. And that saves an awful lot of time in this, and it's, as far as we know, completely random. So it's slightly unfortunate. I have tried before to look into whether it's New Game Plus based. So, if you leave the game running too long, it might carry over between playthroughs. But even with a fresh game start, it can still happen. It's just an unfortunate bug. So this is the final one in terms of the kind of basic tutorials where we learn all these things. We do a spine transfer nose grab front flip, which is obviously not something that an amateur skateboarder would ever be able to pull off. But, we're the best, so we can pull it off just fine. And now we've impressed our group of companions here. So now we've got access to the skate ranch.
Now follow us up here to meet Iggy.
So this is where, as I say, the game kind of transitions into demolishing property for the sake of the skate ranch, and it will be like that for quite a while until we get into downtown. Downtown is a really strange segment, but I won't go into that just now because we've got some more strange segments to come up with. So our first goal here is that we have to sketch, which you would usually do with a car, where you like hang on to the bumper, but we're sketching Murphy's dog. Yeah, like very bizarre animations. I was looking too much there that I actually fell off. And we need to go and get some wood for the half pipe that Iggy is working on. Iggy is like the head honcho. He used to be a professional skater, but he dropped out of like the limelight because he didn't really like the public attention and whatnot. That may not sound like, you know, particularly relevant information, because who really cares about the backstories of random characters in Tony Hawk? But it actually does play big into the plot later on. So, yeah. And also, shout out to Neversoft there for making the only part of this unskippable segment where they make a wood joke, because, haha, you know, I want to explain that one for the masses back home. But yeah, so the rest of this is just sketching along and taking Sanchez along for the ride. So Arco, if you've got anything to read for me, now would be a perfect time, sir.
We do have a donation with $100 from Homeless Guy NPC saying, "Way to go! Here's some cash. Find me later to do more challenges. I hope you have a tubular run, Ben." Thank you very much for the big donation.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome. I do wish I could get some nice $100 from the homeless guy. That would save me a lot of time, but you know, I think the game would need to be way more busted for that. So as you can see here, I'm going to be like wall riding along these walls, and that's because it's like the only way to get any kind of boost of speed here. In these transitions, like Tony Hawk's, like, what they wanted to do for this game was they wanted to create like a fully, I'm not sure what you call it, but like a fully open world that doesn't have loading screens. So as you can see here, as we go to the skate park, there is no loading screen between levels. It's just you know, a place that you can skate, which sounds good, but they also just cap your speed. So all you can do is like slowly skate through them, and they're not particularly interesting, you know, transitions anyway. So personally, I would have rather just had a loading screen, but you know, it's just a very silly thing. So we finally meet the legendary Iggy Van Zandt, and he teaches us Burt slides, which are completely useless. And we don't even properly do them, because as you can see there, it's much easier to just hold the button and then do it at the last second rather than actually slide across. I don't know why that's the thing that he teaches us, but I guess it's just, you know, we already know how to do all the cool stuff. So I guess Neversoft is like, yo, we need to teach, you know, we need to implement a new mechanic that the players have never seen before. Yeah. So we've now built the half pipe. That's the first like piece of the puzzle. And then this is where the first money section comes in, because we need to buy the dinosaur head that we knocked down all the way back in Hollywood. And there is going to be a construction worker called Joey, who is like taken ownership to it. And he said he'll only deliver it to us if we pay him a lot of money. So that's what we'll be doing. Because thankfully we do have quite a bit of money. All thanks to the homeless guy. So, very nice homeless guy. So, as you can remember, we left Mr. Mooton. This is where we'll be doing it. It's just slightly more efficient, because it's just on the way to the Dino head guy. Let's do it here. And then it'll tell us how much money we have. We have 315, which is more than enough. And we can talk to Joey. And he says, you know, he's only going to give it to us. So we require $300. We have 315, which is perfect. And then every time you pick up a skate ranch piece, you can actually, as you saw there, like it gives you an option to go back to the skate ranch. So that essentially becomes fast travel, or at least a method of fast travel. And you can also use either the bus or this car at the skate park to go to different places. As you can see, we're going back to Beverly Hills now in order to speak to Murphy. And it's very important that I do this goal in a certain way, because if you mash to skip this cutscene that I'm about to go into, the game will crash, which is not good, but I'm going to make sure I only press the button once, because I would not like the game to crash. The game has potential to crash later on. I will do my best to avoid it, and I will play as safe as possible. And I do have safety saves for every segment, just in case. But yeah, we would like to avoid a crash, but this game isn't the most stable thing in the world. So this is where we go into the first section of Beverly Hills, and we just, you know, we do tricks on certain things, and we break certain things, and then we're able to steal the property, because that's how the world really works. The police don't care. So this first one is just an awning, and you just need to, you know, call out the tricks, and we do it. I'm not sure who's calling out the tricks. It's not really relevant. And it's just until 25 seconds on the clock. So you can actually go on to different pieces. You can see there I was grinding the rail instead of the awning. As long as you keep it all in one combo, it's fine. And then here's Dave, and we're going to steal a statue. We can order the buck slap here, just to quickly get up here instead of having to climb up the ladder. It's a very minor thing. And then we need to grab the key. Apparently the key to the door is inside, and it's just chilling in midair. And then we can unlock the gate for Dave. And then I think we like tie a rope around it. Yeah, it looks like it. And we like winch it. And then we're just gonna steal it, because that's what skaters do apparently, is they commit petty theft. But as you'll see later on, the antics that we get up to get more and more silly. So this homeless guy is slightly out of the way, but because obviously it's a marathon, I don't want to have to reset. So I'm more than happy to just go slightly out of the way. And there's also one here, which is perfect. We're also going to pick up some stats here in a second. Well, one specific stat challenge. So this is going to be a $50 challenge, which is perfect, as you can see, because of the fact that it's a big combo. So we got $50 there, whereas we usually wouldn't. We would only get 25 at a time, but we got lucky. So the thing we need here is the hold a lip trick for 3 seconds. We're not actually going to do a lip trick just yet. We're going to wait until we go back to Hollywood, because it's going to be right now. So here, we mash Ollie to pull down an entire roof just by kicking our skateboard and using our strength, which makes absolutely 0 sense, but don't worry about it. And then we can teleport back to the ranch. We're entirely done with Beverly Hills now, so now we can just go straight to Hollywood. And there is a convenient ramp here that we can just hold a lip trick on for a couple of seconds. And it may seem slow because we're not really progressing in terms of the story while we're doing this, but getting lip trick up is super important. It makes a huge difference. And the reason why we do it there is because, as you see, we also got a 40,000 point challenge in... trying to talk and do combos at the same time. We need to get 40,000 points. These are also really important, the 40,000 point ones, because they give us plus speed. Plus speed is how fast you go on flat ground. So obviously for a speedrun, traveling fast is obviously a given. And the other one, the lip trick, is how well you balance while doing a lip trick. So I would like to get as much lip balance as possible, purely because there is one goal later on that's the hardest goal in the game. But when you have better stats, it becomes much easier. It's definitely not easy by any means, but it becomes not impossible, I would say. There are some goals later on in the game that like have to be kind of cheesed on sick difficulty with no stats, because obviously like they intended for you to have basically maximum stats by the end of the game, because you'll be, going to the different stat places. It's not built for speedrunners. So this next section is just building towards unlocking downtown, but obviously since we're on sick and we've got to complete all the skate ranch pieces, then we're just grabbing them all on the way. But ultimately the only one mission that matters is the one where we're going to go and speak to a dude. I forget his name. He's called like Mr. D or something, really ambiguous, very mysterious. And he tells us that he can get us access into downtown, but the cops have seized or are like parked near his belongings, and it turns out his belongings is actually a rocket launcher. So he's like a terrorist or something. I don't know if they ever explain exactly what's going on there, but we help him because we're a skateboarder, so we commit crimes. And so once we've done these last couple of skate ranch sections, we're gonna let him blow up the entrance to downtown, like the little tunnel, and yeah, that's gonna be completely okay. But first, we need to speak to Boone one last time. Here he is, and we're gonna need to steal this needle on top, just by grinding down. So once we unlock downtown, the next kind of section, it will be in 2 parts. Pretty much every section is from now on, where the first half will be collecting skate ranch pieces, as I mentioned. But then the second part will be gaining access to the Am Jam, which is like an amateur skateboarding competition that we obviously want to win because, you know, good money and also, you know, fame and glory, right? So this is the guy who blows up the entrance to downtown. We set fire to that police car, and he blows it up, and it's just... It kind of makes me wish that the cutscene wasn't skippable, because, you know, it's very silly how this all plays out, how we get access to downtown. But when you skip the cutscenes, it looks much more innocent. So yeah, so we'll be grabbing some more skate ranch pieces, but we also want to unlock access to the Am Jam. And apparently the number one way to get ready for a skate competition is to find like a Zen master and have him teach you how to like focus your adrenaline and your abilities and whatnot. Thankfully though, he does teach us a really important thing, which is really important for the run. Which is how to use your special meter. So if you'll see at the top left where I have like the score, just below that very soon there's going to be a special meter. And if you're familiar with Tony Hawk's, it works the exact same way as before, where once you fill it up by doing tricks, you can then you can essentially do like you know, special tricks that you've unlocked, where it's like, you know, you do like a little Mortal Kombat combination of buttons, and you can do really cool tricks that look really cool, and they also give you a lot of points. So I'll touch on that later. Really quick, one thing I want to mention is obviously I'm playing this on PC, but I'm playing it with the controller. And as you can see on the left, the button prompts are always talking about letters, which don't really make too much sense, but I can assure you they do. If I could wall plant this, kick this into next week. Don't worry about it. It magically lands safely at the skate park somehow. But yeah, they do have rhyme and reason to them if you know what you're looking for. So it's between K, R, and G. And K is kick, so it's like, you know, flip tricks like kick flipping and whatnot. Rail, and then, whoops, I grabbed too late there, so I wasn't able to bank. So it's rail, which is to grind, and then grab, which is, you know, just to do grab tricks. So it's B for me on my Xbox controller. So once you kind of learn the code, it's pretty easy to know what they want you to do. But obviously it would be much nicer if they just used your controller. But, you know, this is quite an old game, so can't be too harsh on them. Here is Master Zen. He's going to teach us how to destroy a tower with our head. We're just going to smash through it. It's, you know, apparently the first step to becoming like a Zen master is by doing that and headbutting the green tower back to the skate ranch. I'm you know, if you're looking for logic and consistency in this game, you're gonna have a really bad time. So manual for 5 seconds. This is fine. More homeless guy stuff. As I mentioned before, this is very non-linear, so there's no particular path, because what the hobo gives you in terms of challenges is random, but also his spawns are random. So there's like, you know, certain, maybe like 7 or 8 locations he can spawn in around the map. Sometimes he can not spawn in at all, which is very annoying. And sometimes he can spawn in, but you can't talk to him for some reason, and you have to reload the area, which is also very annoying. So basically, all you need to do is just keep an eye out for him, and whenever he's in a convenient location, you just go and speak to him until you have enough money. So before we complete the Am Jam, we will make sure that we do a lot of consistent money grinding with the BMX guy. There is a guy who teaches you how to do BMX tricks, and he will give you $20 for every single one that you do. And also they're very short, so it's very quick money. But we can only do it for a certain amount of like time, like while they're still convenient to do. So we'll make a good use of that, and we'll make a good few $100s out of him once we get there. And for the same reason that we need to do all the tagging stuff later on to impress a group called the Black Widows, we also need to learn how to ride a BMX. So we need to do his goals eventually anyway, or at least a couple of them. So it kind of all adds up and, you know, works out in the end. So here you don't actually need to do 3 different stalls. You can just do. I keep just grinding for some reason. There we go. And then you can just do 2 different variations like that. And then I tried to drop off, but I failed the first time. And then we're gonna stall above the highway sign, and then magically this unlocks the final level, which is where we're gonna unlock the special meter. So the reason why the special meter is so important, even though, you know, special tricks aren't really relevant to us, they don't do anything in terms of speed. But there are 2, I suppose 3 ways to like make yourself go as fast as possible in terms of movement. The first one we've already mentioned, which is to do stat challenges that increase your speed on flat ground. The other one is that you make sure that you always ride in regular stance instead of switch. So, you know, if your left foot is facing forward, if that's your regular stance, then always make sure that you're in regular stance. But the final one is to have a full special meter. So whenever you have a full special meter like I do now, you just move faster. So yeah, it's very important from now on that we're always going to make sure that we're in regular stance, that we have as many good stats as possible, and also that we're always in special. I'm not sure why that didn't count, but that's okay, we can do it again. Not the first time in this game that goals just don't count. There are certain pro challenges later on that are legitimately a coin flip, whether they work or not. So that's very fun, but we'll get into those later on. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So we have now officially unlocked the entrance to the M Jam. Now we've completed all the downtown stuff, which is here. And we are going to complete the BMX challenges. The reason we do them here, even though technically we can do them anywhere, is simply because the Van skate park is a very small area, because you just do the M Jam here and that's it. So it means that his locations are, he spawns in the same way that the hobo does, which is, you know, random fixed locations. But there's only like 4 or 5 locations around the map. And obviously they're a lot closer together because the map is so small. So if you're ever going to grind money, you want to do it in the smallest level possible. But this is just going to be a couple of minutes of learning to ride a BMX. This is just 30 seconds of, hey, mess around and don't fall off. And then the next thing is that it's going to be really basic tricks. There's not really a whole lot to it. So, yeah, Arco, if you've got anything you'd like to read, you've got the floor to yourself for a little while.
Right, thank you. We do have a donation coming in by Zonris with $5 saying, "Hello there, English Ben in Sweden from the Abyss." Or is Pizza Disliker a more appropriate name at this point? Winky face.
Pizza Disliker.
Whatever. Just here to wish you good luck on your run during this comfy night shift. Also, if my math is correct, both Harnett and Therion should have the same totals right now for the Octopath Traveler character bid war. Hehehe. And indeed, with $3 going to Harnett and $2 going to Therion, they are both even at $184. So make sure to keep the donations coming in to decide the category for the Octopath Traveler single story speedrun. We also have a $15 donation coming in from Matherius saying, "Blub, awesome event with awesome runners and crew. Thank you very much."
Yeah, thank you so much for your donations. If you're wondering why Zanaris was calling me a Pizza Disliker, maybe you saw it in the interview earlier on. They basically, in the interviews, they were asking, like, you know, what is your like nuclear take? And they were asking me, like, you know, what do you think about pineapple on pizza? You know, it's a classic question where, you know, you learn to separate the men from the boys. But the way I see pineapple on pizza, and the same with banana on pizza, which is a big thing here in Sweden, is you can put whatever you want on a pizza. It's completely up to you. I don't care if you put, you know, pineapple on it, fruit, that's completely fine. Put nuts on pizza, that some people do. Some people put like Nutella on pizza, which is a bit weird, but you know, it's whatever floats your boat, right? But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of pizza in general, so I think the pizza is the common denominator there. But yeah, so you ultimately, at the end of the day, if anyone ever bullies you for putting banana on pizza, you know, don't listen to what they have to say, because you're already at fault for eating pizza in the first place. So just thought we'd throw out that, you know, PSA out there from English Ben. So this is the last one that we're going to do, flares. This is just as simple as a backflip and a 180 at the same time. And it's because every single one after this is quite a bit longer, so they're not really worth doing. We can just continue and going back to the homeless guy. It's also very important that, well, not important in this particular scenario, but it is important in general that we do the BMX money grinding before we actually enter the skate competition. And that's because if we don't get good homeless guy spawns in a certain run, then we won't have enough money to pay for our ticket into the Am Jam. So I think it's $150 that we have to pay. So obviously, if you always do the bike missions first, then you'll always have enough money to pay for the ticket. But there's currently no room at the inn, essentially. So even though we could buy a ticket, we have to fight this guy because he says that he can skate circles around us, but then he holds a tail grab too long and completely breaks himself. So then conveniently we can take his place. And then we pay the entrance fee, and here we go. So this competition is super unique. It's the only one of its kind where it actually doesn't matter what you do. So you know how I mentioned before when we were fighting against Joe Skater right at the start of the game, I was mentioning about the fact that it's based on your score, right? So if you get 0 points, everyone else will get 0 points. But that's not actually the case here. You can get like 1 million points and they'll still get like 50,000. So it ultimately doesn't matter. There's no way you can, make it more difficult or easy for yourself. And all you need to do is just not come last. That's the most important thing, because it's, elimination round essentially. So while we're just waiting around for the sections to finish, I suppose I can talk about like a kind of quick lore update as to what will happen after we finish the skate competition. So obviously we're going to win this competition. It would be quite embarrassing if we didn't. And Tony Hawk is going to interview us himself, the guy, the real Hawkman himself. And he's going to ask us where we pulled out this big move from that, in terms of canon, we used to beat the competition. Obviously, I'm just kind of messing around and I'm still winning. But in terms of the actual game story, we apparently used some awesome move that we learned from some, rogue professional skateboarder. And us being the I guess, ignorant young soul that we are, is we say that we learned it from Iggy Van Zandt, the guy at the skate park. But what we don't know is that Iggy Van Zandt is actually a fugitive who was running from the police, and one of the main reasons why he was, staying out of the limelight was because he, was hunted by the police for some minor offenses. I forget exactly what it is. And as soon as we mention that he's, alive and kicking and that he's teaching skateboarding, we go back to the skate ranch and Iggy gets arrested. And from there, everyone doesn't like us anymore, and we need to kind of build up again because all the people that used to like us don't really like us anymore. So we win the competition, and then we're going to head back to the skate ranch and we're going to see what's going on, and we'll see Iggy get arrested. So from here, the game kind of transitions into, like, again, 2 sections. We'll be getting some more skate ranch pieces, but then also we'll be following like the main plot line, which is once Iggy gets arrested, we're going to go to Santa Monica, and we're going to go and meet Tony Alva, because he's like an old school skateboarder, right? And he's apparently like an old friend of Iggy's, and maybe he can help us. So in order to get into Santa Monica, we need to impress a certain skate club that allows us to gain access. And the skate club is where we mentioned before, where their policy is no shirt, no shoes, basically. So yeah, here you see Iggy's getting arrested by the police. We kind of tried to protest, but there's not really a whole lot we can do about it. So then we need to gain access to Santa Monica. Santa Monica is actually just down here, where these police officers are, but obviously they're blocking it off and they'll beat us up if we get there. So instead we go to the skate club and we need to impress them, and then we'll end up causing like a distraction that'll allow me to get into Santa Monica. It's actually possible to get into Santa Monica and Beverly Hills and East LA, which is like a later on section, way earlier than intended, but unfortunately it doesn't really help because none of the goals spawn once you get in there. So you essentially, like, you can't progress forward. So it's a sequence break, but you can't actually go into any further sequences. So if anyone out there just happens to be interested in finding like glitches, maybe specifically in Tony Hawk. It would be very cool to be able to skip all the way into something like East LA from the start of the game and actually have the goals load in. According to, like, you know, most people have tried to get it to work. Nobody's ever found anything. So, you know, maybe it could be you. Maybe you could find a way. And Tony Hawk speedrunning will become, you know, very broken, especially in terms of American Wasteland. So here we've impressed them. We've learned Flatland. Flatland tricks are very nice because you can spam them to get an awful lot of points very quickly. And the final thing that we need to do is we need to go and cause a bit of a distraction at this hotel. So we just... as you can see, they are completely stuck in motion. They are frozen like statues. I'm not sure if that's like intentional, like if that's part of the lore, or if they just didn't bother to animate them. I honestly have no idea. But yeah, so we just lip on each thing, and then we do exactly the same thing, but we need to do some trick modifications. So that's the whole, like, you know, RG, double R, RK, and GG. There we go. And then I think we destroyed the hotel. I'm not entirely sure. And that obviously causes the police to run away. And now we can head towards Santa Monica. But first, we need to prove ourselves in one final challenge. So we need to beat these guys in a flatland competition. And this is where the competition goes back to, you know, they match your score. So there's no real point in spamming tricks because you'll just end up losing because they'll just get 1,000,000 points as well. So the best way to deal with this is to just do nothing until the last 5 seconds and then do a couple of tricks. It's also worth mentioning that you actually don't need to do flatland at all. As you can see, I'm just kind of jumping around and doing grabs. It actually doesn't make a single bit of difference what you do. If you do flatland, then you get a cool little camera angle that shows you busting some moves, but that's it. There's nothing else. And interestingly enough, the final guy that you choose to, or that they like offer for you to battle, the final boss, is actually Day One's song. I don't think it's explained as to why Day One is like the kind of final boss of this. But all that we need to know is that they bring him in. He's not very happy about it, so he says he's just going to let us win. He doesn't actually let us win. You know, if we don't do anything, we will lose. But yeah, we're just going to wait tactically and just let him do as many moves as he wants and get no points. And then we'll bust a few sick moves in the last couple of seconds. So, ideally, in Santa Monica, because it's just one long strip of a level, ideally we'll be able to get a lot of money there from the homeless guy. But obviously it all depends on where he spawns. But I will be looking out as much as I can in order to, you know, pick up as many convenient bum locations as possible. So it looks like he's quite far away on the far end, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's also close to a lot of the goals that are going on. And we'll end up doing like a swoop of the map anyway. So this goal is a very particular, like, don't touch the ground kind of deal, and there's 3 different challenges. The first one is pretty standard. The second one is that we need to get onto the roof, and we can actually do a really precise butt slap here, just off that little wooden kicker in front of us. And it's not particularly easy to do, but I'll do my best. And it may take a couple of tries. Obviously, it's really easy to set up again if you do fail it, so it's not too bad. There we go. And you can just butt slap straight up to him. Usually you would have to grind all the way around, so even if it takes a couple of tries, it's still way faster to do it that way. And then here, you just need to, you can just cheese it by bonelessing across rather than having to go all the way around. And then there is a bunch of kids here who are, they've, you know, got a little sugar rush and they want us to do some cavemans off here. Again, this is just a building that we're just destroying. This is like the 7th building that we've destroyed in a matter of like half an hour. And I don't know how we're getting away with it, but magically we are just wrecking these places. And yeah, we can now take that roof for the ranch. So cool, I suppose. So just up here is Joey. And once again, we're going to do some more destruction. But this is going to be a lot more butt slaps as well. So he wants us to do an impossible down the stairs. And as you can see, usually without a butt slap, you would not be able to make this on sick difficulty. Now we just need to do the same thing 3 times. So what you would expect to do is like go up here and, you know, turn around and then jump. And even then, as you can see, you barely get enough on sick difficulty to make it. So butt slapping is much easier, even if you just get a double like that. And then the final one is just a 360 impossible, nice and easy. I say nice and easy and and then miss it. Classic. I need to, you know, shut my big mouth sometimes is what I need to do. So this completely destroys this entire staircase. And yeah, we can take that for the ranch too, apparently. Because we need a staircase for some reason. So when we're talking about butt slapping, I just mentioned before about like a double butt slap. Essentially what that means is it means like you get 2 jumps worth. And you can get triples, you can get quads, you can get quints. I think quints is about as high as you can, you know, humanly expect to get because of how many inputs it is in such a short amount of time. But if you were to like do a task of this game or like a tool assisted speedrun, then it's possible to get like 8 or 9, I believe, which is obviously an awful lot. And tasks of this game are, well, not particularly of this game, but of other Tony Hawk games are super cool. And you can just like jump from ground level to an entire skyscraper. It's really crazy what you can do. So yeah, that was just a simple, you know, call out the tricks. There was nothing really to it. This goal is a reoccurring goal in later on. I'm not entirely sure why, but you basically just hit people with balloons. And later on, we hit a bunch of old grannies that are fans of Iggy's. It's a very silly goal, but I guess it fits the whole, you know, this game is silly part. And here is Mutin. We've been keeping up with Mutin. Those of you who were kind of paying attention when we were in downtown, you'll remember that we only did 2 of Mutin's goals and in downtown, and that's exactly the same reason as we did in Hollywood. It's just more convenient to grab him later on when we go back to downtown for the 3rd time. So this is one of the reasons why we wanted to get extra lip trick stats, is because, again, as you can see, we'll be holding this lip trick all the way around, and it is very difficult to balance. The meter becomes very sensitive towards the end. As you can see, it's kind of fighting against me now, and I'm only halfway. So it is very important that I, you know, do my best to hold on, because it's like 30 seconds to retry every single time. So failing it isn't particularly good. So here you would usually grind all the way around, like around to the left there. But you don't actually have to. You can just keep the combo going and then start halfway, and it still counts as long as you keep it in a combo.
Dude, all luck, no.
And then here you're supposed to scare off the birds, but it does seem like we just hit them, which is very mean. I hope they actually fly away, but the way they've programmed it, it very much looks like we're just straight up killing these birds, which is very nasty. But, you know, I suppose skateboarders and petty crimes, name a better combo, right? Slide or grind trick for 5 seconds, that's fine. We can just grind on this. So there are some places where grinding for 5 seconds is very difficult. The best place to do it is just on a bowl, because you can just grind around it infinitely. But obviously sometimes that's not always possible. I'm going to go to this homeless guy, even though it's technically like a detour backwards. He's pretty close, so it's worth going to, I would say. 2,000 points, very simple, very nice. And he's in this corner. Okay, this is very good. So this is what I was talking about, where like the Santa Monica spawns, if it goes well, they can be very close to each other. And then we just grind again for 5 seconds. That's fine, we can just do it here. So, nice $75 in our pocket, potentially more out of Santa Monica, which is very good. Because the next thing we need to buy is a ticket to the oil rig, which I believe is $200, I want to say. And then we also need to buy an alien costume, which is $150. In order to scare a local guy away in just a moment. So yeah, we have a lot of spending money, but we also have a lot to spend on. So, second mutant challenge, and then Mindy's goal here. This goal is very silly. You have to bank drop onto the shark, which is very simple. And then you have to stall on its head 3 times. But for some odd reason, because obviously this isn't a rail, sometimes when you stall, it will just launch you off. and you have to like run around and root grab onto it every single time. I don't get why stalls out of all things that you have to do on there, but you know, it is what it is. So now we've completed all the goals in Santa Monica. As you can see, we've got one final goal that we can go to. If we can just quickly get up here, I'll quickly butt slap. That was a nice little butt slap, as you can see. And it's Tony Alva. So Tony Alva wants us to, I guess, prove that we're a good skateboarder. So we do some pogo, some handstands, and some butt slides. I guess it's because it's like old school, because that's the whole like situation with Tony Alva and Iggy, is they're all about the good old days, and that's why Tony Alva wants us to butt slide here. So, right here, usually, I would quit out of the game and reload it. And the reason I would do that is because it will spawn me back at the top of the hill. And obviously, that's like, you know, basically free fast travel. But the issue is that, as I said before, this game can crash. And obviously, I don't want to have to redo this entire section. So I'm not going to do any quit outs unless necessary. There are some later on that are like guaranteed to not crash. But the ones that potentially risk a crash, I won't go for. So instead, we'll just do some more hobo goals on the way back, and then we'll just head it up on ourselves. But right now, we need to go and buy the alien costume. It's in Hollywood. But yeah, we're just gonna grind a bit more money while we have him nearby. He's some really good spawns. Wow, these are pretty much ideal. Invert, that's fine. Just do it here. Rail grab and grab. Very nice. Okay, so he's a bit further away now, and we have more than enough money for this next segment, so I'm not going to bother too much with grinding out like inconvenient bum goals anymore unless I absolutely have to. So we'll just head back, and we'll come back to Mr. Mutant in a second once we grab the alien costume. He's the final one for Santa Monica. So Hollywood, we go to the store, and we get a nice new outfit change. $150? Not too bad. We're looking pretty good. And I forget the exact like lore reason why we're doing this, but basically we're gonna scare away a carnival worker, because he's very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think superstitious is the right word, but like he believes in aliens basically, and he believes that, you know, aliens are gonna take over the world one day. So we're gonna prove him right by being a skateboarding alien. And also here, Tony teaches us to create our own trick, which is quite a nifty little thing, but I'm just going to do a front side spin, and that's enough for me, because, you know, I want the trick to be as short as possible, and I don't want to waste time making it when I could, you know, be doing other things. And then we do our special trick on this rail, which apparently freaks him out. So usually has like the little no aliens here. Please no aliens. And then we do a couple of trick modifications on this lever, and apparently that's enough to make him go completely insane. So yeah, I'm not sure why we're tormenting this poor guy besides like Tony Alva finding it funny. Might simply be it. I'm honestly not sure. But yeah, so now we've unlocked the boat to the oil rig, and I'm just gonna line up a jump here. We need to grind across the Ferris wheel. Maybe, honestly, the reason might be just so it knocks the Ferris wheel over so you can grind across to the boat, but I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, we've paid to go to the oil rig. The reason we need to go to the oil rig is because Tony Alva says that he's got like a contact who works on the oil rig, and he can help us dig up like a snake run, which is like an important integral piece of the park. So what I'm going to do is, as soon as I like load into the next area, which you'll see because it will tell you like oil rig at the bottom right, I can safely save and quit here. And even if we do crash, I have a safety save right there, so it's not a big deal. And it spawns us at the top of the oil rig, but we want to be at the bottom, so we can just fling ourselves off and we'll respawn at the bottom. There we go. Nice and easy. So yeah, this guy here, it's also worth mentioning that if I ever quit out the game, I'm going to pause and unpause like that, which seems seemingly random. But for some reason, when you quit out of the game and reload back in, the sound of you rolling around on your skateboard, like the sound of you just traveling around, bugs out and it just stays there forever. So obviously that kind of sound glitch is really annoying. So I'll fix it for you whenever I save and quit. So don't worry, because it annoys me too. So I will fix it for my own sake, but also for your sake. And you know, what good would a skateboarding game be without a Jump the Shark reference, right? I honestly have no idea where this Jump the Shark meme even came from, but I know it's in the Skate series too, and it's a big thing with skateboarding. But yeah, that's Tony Hawk American Wasteland's version of Jump the Shark. So this section, we need to grind impossibly all the way up here. And that camera angle is super annoying, as you can see. But we can jump early and regrind to reset the camera, which makes this quite a lot easier. And obviously we're going to deal with the balancing and whatnot as well. There we go. And then we just sticker slap this. So those were like the mandatory goals for Oil Rig. Now it's just as simple as beating all the rest of them. This one is like, it's kind of underrated in terms of difficulty, because doing this final jump, even when you have full special, it's actually quite difficult to make. As you can see, we barely made it like left enough to land on that little sweet spot of the rail there. And then this one is just horrible. We have to grind on the valves, and you've got to be very specific with your jumps in order to get like enough height in order to get up there. And then we're going to go up here one more time, and we're going to go to this goal here. And there's just 2 more to do. And then both of these goals actually put us back at the bottom of the oil rig, even though obviously the next goal that we need to do is at the top. So we can do another save and quit. It would be typical marathon luck if I were to crash on these save and quits, because I've never crashed here. So as far as I know, they're consistent. But there's only one way to find out, right? And that's during marathons. So we go here, we spawn at the bottom again, and then I'm going to quit out and hopefully not crash. Perfect. And then it spawns us back at the top, so then we can just go straight to this next goal. And I will pause and unpause to fix the sound glitch, and we'll continue on. So this one, you have to like spine transfer and destroy the antennas. You're supposed to like grind off the top there, but you can just immediately drown here and it respawns you at the next place, which is a lot better. And then yeah, you just break them with your head. I don't know why. Don't worry about it. And yeah, very simple. And then this is the final one for the oil rig. And then we'll be heading back towards Santa Monica. And this next section is where we deal with the Black Widows, which is the gang that I was talking about earlier, where they want to like, you know, teach you how to skateboard and, BMX. And they want to teach you how to graffiti and all that kind of stuff. Before they all let us into the final new area that we'll unlock, which is East LA. So, get to the chopper, another classic reference. I don't think there's many of those in Tony Hawk. I think this is a American Wasteland exclusive thing. But yeah, so the actual exit isn't via helicopter. It's by doing this ridiculous... Oh, speaking of ridiculous... There we go. This ridiculous dive through a metal pipe and escaping back to Santa Monica. So also here, I would usually do a quit out once we get to here. But again, in order to minimize the idea of the game crashing, I'm just going to escape back. It's not very far away, and it also means that we can do some bum goals on the way back, which is quite nice. 2,000 points, pretty simple. So yeah, so we need to go to the ranch one more time. Iggy isn't going to get arrested again, and we're not going to get arrested, so it's not to really progress the plot. But there is a goal there where the guy that we helped from the oil rig is going to be back at the ranch, and he wants us to help him with some stuff. So that's what we're going back for. Because obviously, as we said, we need to complete all the skate ranch stuff, even if it's not technically mandatory. So we'll head back up, and I will recover that by butt slapping up. Those butt slaps have been really good. Off that specific ramp, I seem to get a lot of height for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. But yeah, so we had the Beverly Hills, which is right next to the skate ranch. And then, oh, I think I saw the homeless guy like right here. Yeah, I did. That's really lucky. We'll do this one as well. Okay, let the flip tricks fill the screen. This one is slightly unlucky because it's like 20 seconds long. Whereas obviously the ones where it's like, you know, hey, get 2,000 points. You can do that in like 2 seconds. So you do gain and lose a lot of time purely by like the luck with what the homeless guy gives you. But ultimately, you know, this game is all about playing with the cards that you're dealt. So, and that's why I think it's particularly fun. I think it's quite fun to deal with something very non-linear like this. But yeah, so we're just going to be heading back to the skate ranch. Nothing particularly interesting going on. The goal is just going to be like spray painting certain parts of a crane and climbing around. So, Arco, have you got anything you want to talk about, sponsors and whatnot? Perfect time.
I do have some donations to read.
Perfect.
We have a donation of $10 from Retro with no comment, and another donation of $25 from some guy Taylor with also no comment, with this one going to the bid war of making the player character in Saints Row look like Keanu Reeves. The other option is Waluigi, and they are actually close to being even.
Ooh.
Now, Waluigi couldn't make it to Smash Cut, but could he perhaps make it to ESA? It's all up to you, so keep those donations coming in.
I would like to see Waluigi for Joe with Saints Row 1. The like the customizable characters that you can make in that game are just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, being able to do Waluigi would be sick. So if you know, if anyone is thinking about what to donate for, I've just made that decision for you. You're welcome. You should donate for Waluigi. Okay, so this is the final downtown tag, and this is the final tag total for all of Mr. Mutin's challenges, which is perfect because they're just about to tell us that we need to go and do all of Mr. Mutin's challenges. So it works out just perfectly. As you can see there, we get throw-ups, which is the final section. And so yeah, there's a couple of things that we need to impress the Black Widows. The first one is that we know how to graffiti, and we have our own custom tag with all the different types of, I don't know what you call it, like all the different styles. So what we can do is, now we've completed all of Mr. Mutin's challenges, instead of finishing his piece, we can create our own graphic. And it's not going to look particularly good. I'm not a particularly creative person. And I'm just going to put one of each, you know, like things on top of each other. So there's the throw up, and here is the tag. So that's our tag. It's just a big mess. I'm very sorry to those that, you know, take graffitiing and the, you know, the art seriously. I've let you down. But it is also for the sake of being fast in a speedrun, so I hope you do forgive me. And the other thing that we need is a big chest tattoo of a Black Widow. I'm not sure if I would ever get a big chest tattoo just to impress people that I don't really know, but I respect my you know, skateboarder for doing it. So now we've got a nice little chest tattoo, and it only costs us $30. $30 for a chest tattoo. That is a steal, you know. So it means one of two things. One, you got a really good deal, or two, you probably shouldn't be going to this tattoo place. Let's just say that. So now that we have the tattoo and the tag, we're coming up to one of the hardest goals in the game, where we need to prove that we can, you know, throw down with the rest of them. And Hector wants us to manual through the cones all the way down here. And doing this with only +2 manual stats out of 10 is really, really difficult towards the end. As you can see, it is very tricky to make that final section because you've got to balance up and down while also moving left and right in order to, you know, actually spin, because you've got to go to the right here. And you got to make sure you don't miss any flags. So, yeah. This will take a few tries. The other option is to go and grind out stats. But obviously, you know, in theory, this is faster to just do it first try. If you're, you know, a god at this game, which I am unfortunately not. So, the plan is to just, you know, do it in as little tries as possible. This one looks good. There we go. So, yeah, not too bad. And then this is the goal where he tells us to go and, you know, come back to me once you've learned how to properly make graffiti tags. And we have, so we can just talk to him right away. And yeah, if any of you guys remember Thug 2, you remember Spat. He's like a somewhat recurring character, and we just need to go around the map and tag 4 different spots. If we're too slow, he will go and like re-tag our spots. But if all goes well, we will one cycle him and not have to re-tag anywhere. So this is number 3. As you can see, we don't actually have to properly spray it. You can just you know, like start the animation and then stop. So we just go up here and then we tag, and successful one cycle. Very nice. So the final part is that we need to get onto the bike and we need to learn how to BMX. But because we already grinded the money out earlier, we already know how to BMX. We're more than proficient. You need to complete 3 different goals. But we ended up doing like 10 or 15, I think, total for money's sake. So we have more than enough time and more than enough cash. So he wants us to do a tabletop, which we can do. We don't actually have to do it off the ramp. All you've got to do is touch the ramp. So as you can see there, you can just like touch your shoulder against the ramp and then just do it on flat ground, which is a bit quicker since you're not, you know, spending too much time in the air. And then final thing with the tail whip. There we go. And then on this final one, you're actually supposed to manual through the cones and then wall punt at the end, but you just don't have to. Like, there you go. You just don't have to do what the goal says you have to do. It's very bizarre. I don't know why they didn't check for that, but yeah. Like, usually this game is very good with checking like specific things that you should be doing, but on that particular goal, they just forgot to put any kind of like, you know, checks for what you would be doing. It's very strange. So I'm going to quickly check how much money I have. I have 255. Okay. I think from memory, the final thing that we need to buy, which is the taco truck, is I think it's 300 from memory. So that means we need to do 2 different bum goals and then we'll be good for cash for the rest. And, you know, the chance of us finding 2 convenient bum goals in the next 2 segments is pretty high. So we should be good on money, which is good because money obviously is quite a big concern throughout the entire run. So also the hitboxes on those sprinklers that you need to hit they're absolutely terrible, but they thankfully weren't too bad. Oops, that was an interesting little boost. Apparently grinding Boone's jeans is the hardest part of this. I think I'm ollieing too early, that's why. I did actually practice this earlier, but apparently not enough. There we go. So yeah, Boone is actually trapped in like a little, I'm not sure what you would call this, like a sewage pipe, I guess. He's actually trapped here, and we need to break through and throw him the skateboard. And this is also tricky to make count, but what you can do is you can stand right next to him and just drop it, and it'll always count. But if you try and actually throw him the board, then he'll just not take it. It's very bizarre. So if you're interested in cutscenes in this game, which I'm sure all 5 of you are, this is the best cutscene in the game by far. I'm just going to let it play out, and then we can have a little laugh about it afterwards. This is a AAA game, reminder. You know, this is one of the best games of its generation, and that's what they came up with. But yeah, so I'm very thankful that cutscene isn't skippable, because it always makes me laugh every single time. I don't know what they were thinking of putting that in the game. It would have been better to just have no cutscene, because yeah, God, it's terrible. So these are the final 2 skate ranch pieces that we need to grab in East LA. This sign is the next one, and then there is also a couch, I think it is, that we need to do. But in order to get access to like the couch, we need to like hang off a helicopter and do a bunch of cool tricks. I don't know why. It's very bizarre. But yeah, it's the final one. So it's just up here. Speak to Boone. So we get a police helicopter. We have to grab onto it, and then we have to bank drop onto a platform, do a bunch of flatland tricks to impress like the like Hector and his gang. And then apparently that means that we can then take the couch, like an old couch that has just been abandoned for the ramp, for the ranch. Also, sometimes you can just get dropped onto a point where you're supposed to like bank drop in. But as you can see there, I was mashing to bank drop and it just didn't let me do it because like the helicopter just didn't drop me in the right place. As far as I know, there's not exactly a lot you can do about that. As you can see, I did it the second time, just nice and easy. So here is more trick modifications. I'll miss that one because I did kick by mistake. Rail kick grab. Also got to keep an eye on my balance. Thankfully, the ones that you do count, so I don't have to like restart from scratch. I can just keep going. Kick grab rail. I think one more that we need to do. Kick grab again. There we go. And yeah, now we can finally bank drop onto the couch. And yeah, that means that we did all that just so we can take a couch. And then we can go back to the ranch. And this is, I would say, the silliest goal in the game, for sure. So this construction worker runs to us, and he doesn't like the fact that we're using his crane. So he's climbing up, and he's, climbing 30 feet in the air. And we're just going to launch weather balloons at... weather balloons, they're just water balloons. We're going to launch water balloons at him until he falls off 20 feet onto his back on metal. Ouch. But magically he's okay, apparently. But yeah, I would consider that like, the worst crime that we've committed so far. It's one thing doing petty theft, but we were an accomplice to terrorism and, property damage. And then we straight up committed like attempted murder. And apparently that's still okay. Boys will be boys, apparently, according to this game. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking, but it's all very bizarre. Whoops. So now we're just going to head through one more time, go and see Joey. And then it's on to the pro goal segment, which I would say is probably the hardest segment in the game. It's quite long. And essentially what happens is we want to build up funds for the skate park while, we've rescued Boone and want to, impress Iggy again to make him like us again. So, yeah, we want to raise money. So we want to make a skate video with all the different pros around town. So in order to impress the pros, we want to obviously, like do tricks for them and impress them and whatnot. And this is the section that I was talking about where like some of the goals are A, extremely difficult, or B, completely broken. So we have 280. So I think after we do this one final bum goal here, we should have all the money that we need. It might be 400. I'm not sure, but there's only one way to find out, right? So we have 330. It should be enough. But honestly, I don't remember. It's, I've slept since I last played this game, apparently. So we're going to, where are we going to first? We're going to Beverly Hills. Because we need to hit the cutscene trigger here to talk about the ranch.
Sorry to drag you out of there.
So this is where they're discussing about, making the video.
Dude, I just got
And also Boone is just going to fall out of the sky for some odd reason.
like right now. I think we can make you and Dave get Tony Hawk committed to this video.
There he is.
I'm off.
I don't know what he was doing to fall from above there because there's not really any buildings nearby, but sure, I guess. So, you can do these guys in any order, but the first one always has to be Tony Hawk. So, like, nobody else spawns until you do Tony Hawk's challenge. So, Tony Hawk is just you and Dave, mimicking his tricks. And you end up learning how to 900, which is quite cool. So, we don't have to, like, necessarily fully copy his tricks. Like, as you can see here, he did like a, like a 720 airwalk or something. If I could do a single airwalk, that would be great. I keep tail grabbing by accident. There we go. But yeah, you just have to do an airwalk.
Watch and learn.
For here, you do a hurricane, and all that matters is that you just do it along the ledge, so the gap counts that you'll see in blue at the bottom. There we go. That counts. And then he teaches you how to do a gymnast plant, which is a different type of invert, and then he teaches you how to 900. And then from there, it's about going all the way around the map to impress like all the locals. On easy, you only have to impress like 3 or 4 to unlock the next segment. But obviously this is sick, so we need to do all of them. And some of them are just outright terrible. Like, I'll take you through them one by one as we go. But yeah, some of them are straight luck, whether they work or not. And some of them are like, at this level, with my stats on sick difficulty, they are like impossible without cheesing them. But this one is pretty easy. Double blunt side, heel flip manual. Just some nice little tech skating there with day one. And then he is actually the only pro besides Tony Hawk in Beverly Hills. So the first place we're going to go to is the hardest segment, which is Santa Monica. So Bob Burnquist is here, and he wants us to do some kind of lip trick, you know, air over quarter pipes. And there is one segment right at the end where you have to hold a lip trick through a cutscene where Tony Alva starts like attacking Bob Burnquist with the water cannon, and you end up having to hold the lip trick for like 30 seconds. And obviously, as we talked about earlier while I was on the Ferris wheel, holding a lip trick for that long is like stupidly hard. And the worst thing is that if you fail it right at the end, you have to do the entire segment again, like this entire goal. There's no checkpoints or anything. The weirdest part is that if I were to press start right now and press retry, it would put me at the checkpoint like here. But if I actually fail it by failing to do the trick, like by not balancing properly, then you just fail and you have to do the whole thing again. So I'm going to concentrate the best I can. I'm going to move a bit closer into my screen and put my elbows on the desk to make it as easy as possible, because obviously it will lose a lot of time if I fail this. So I'm also going to get ready to panic pause to restart if I feel like I'm going to fail. But hopefully I won't. Okay, perfect. So that is the hardest goal out of the way, which is really good. And thankfully we get a nice little break now, because Tony Alva's goal is really easy. He just wants you to call out tricks. Oh, sorry, he calls out tricks and we just repeat them. There's really nothing interesting to it. So, Arco, again, you've got the floor if you've got anything that you'd like to say while I just press a few buttons here, waiting on a timer.
We do have a $5 anonymous donation saying, I'll donate $5 to Waluigi, but I still love pizza.
Yeah, that's completely fair enough. You know, we can agree to disagree on that. That's completely fine. Yeah, thank you very much for your donation. Obviously, all the donations towards this event are going to Save the Children, which is an amazing cause. And if you wonder to yourself, like, how far, like, does my money really go? Like, it's crazy. If you look up, like, I mean, I don't have exact stats for you, but I can tell you that, like, even if you donate something like $5, like the person just did there, like, that can pay for, like, medicine to save, like, lives. And I'm not talking about, like, a single life. I'm talking several lives. And, like, if you talk about the amount of money that ESA raises, when you're talking in the thousands that we all come together and raise, like, that can build entire schools. It can build, like, you know, sources of water for people who need it. So it's really awesome that we can all come together for such an amazing cause. So yeah, thank you. It's really awesome that so many people are here and enjoying the speedruns and are able to really, like, make a difference in the world, you know? So one final big combo that we need to do for Tony Alva, nice and simple. And next up, we're going to head to Hollywood, where we're going to see Andrew Reynolds and Rodney Mullen, who is a fan favorite. Rodney Mullen is going to teach us how to make our own manual trick. And we're going to, once again, do exactly the same as we did with the grind with Tony Alva, where we're just going to make it a spin, and that's it. Because we're very boring, but, you know, it's all about going fast here. But first, we want to meet Andrew Reynolds.
First, grind that velvet road. Then
And he wants us to head over to Bronson to follow him, take his line. And then we see a cameraman there, and he wants us to do a trick out of, like, I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but it's like a cave transition on my right. And it will blow up the Hollywood sign if we do it with getting 50,000 points. Or it won't blow up the sign, sorry, I think it is just like pyrotechnics. But yeah, so here we can just use a flatland to get points very quickly, and then we can just launch ourselves out. Oh, it does blow up the sign. Yeah, I thought it did. Yeah, we are still a criminal. Just good to know. We just destroyed the Hollywood sign for no reason, besides looking cool, I suppose. But yeah, that's Andrew Reynolds' goal out the way. And then here is Rodney Mullen. And so for Rodney Mullen's goal, we need to do 10 different unique tricks down these stairs. But as you can see, every single time we spawn at the top, there is a thing where we can create a trick. So for some odd reason, they placed it right here. So what you have to do is you have to jump and then do a trick like really late in midair, because otherwise it'll be like, hey, you want to create a trick, even though you're just pressing a button to do a flip trick, which is the same, you know, it's bound to the same key. So I don't know why they did that, but yeah. So now we just need to do our new trick 3 times to impress Rodney Mullen. There it is. Thank you, Rodney. I know it's very cool. I'm sure you would be proud of me. So that's the 2 pros in Hollywood sorted. Now we're going to go to downtown. And there are 3 in downtown, but we're going to come to those later. Instead, we're going to go to the Am Jam, where Ryan Sheckler and Matt Hoffman are waiting for us. So yeah, of course, the game has BMXs in it, so... I don't really understand it. He wants us to knock loose a Jeep that is suspended above above the park. I have no idea why he wants it or why he can't just go and get it down himself, but apparently he needs me to nut a spin on top of the screw in order to get it loose. I really don't understand, but sure, Ryan, if you'll be in my video, I'll do anything for you, buddy. So yeah, we just head to it, nut a spin, don't fall off. There we go. You just undo the bolt, and here you go. Here's a free car, Ryan. I guess.
Sick. This thing's.
And you can tell on Matt Hoffman's goal how much they really cared about Matt Hoffman here. So this entire part is unskippable. You know, I'm pressing to skip it, nothing's happening. But as soon as Matt Hoffman starts talking, you can skip it. So, blah, blah, blah. Don't care, Matt Hoffman, shut up. And you can just immediately skip it. So, everything that we say is unskippable. But everything that Matt Hoffman has to say, you know, is passionate about BMXing. Don't care. Didn't ask. You know, ratio, as the kids would say on Twitter. So, yeah. I don't know why they did Matt Hoffman so dirty like that. But we do get to do some cool tricks, and then we also get to do tricks over him while he's on a skateboard and we're on a bike. So it is quite a nifty goal. I do like it. So the 3 guys that we're going to be dealing with in downtown is Mike V. He's going to want us to do a bunch of more complicated tricks, you know, triple kick flips, impossibles, and whatnot. But it's nice and easy. And the other one is... the other 2, is P-Rod, who wants us to collect a load of shoe boxes for his company, because of course, you know, P-Rod and shoes. And the other one is Tony T. And Tony T is, I would say, the worst goal in the game. It's not the hardest, but I would say it's the most nonsense, because it's a very long goal. It's, you know, a couple of minutes long. And right at the end, you can fail for no reason. Like, you have to do 4 sets of big spine transfers and land them all in one combo. Even if you land them all in one combo, then you can just fail anyway. It's really silly. So, yeah, I don't really get it. So we need to go and see Mike V. What I'm actually going to do is, because this hobo was in quite a... Oh, God, I don't want to skitch. He was in quite a good location. I'm going to do his goal just in case it is 400 for the final thing that I need. It's better to be safe now than have to go and grind money later. So yeah, we'll slowly build up towards 400 on the way. So he's also up here, which is a good spawn because it's right next to Mike V. So yeah, we'll just do them while they're on the way. So just nailing some grabs. Japan. Nose grab. Indie. Tail grab. Nice and easy. And the final one is over there. That's perfect. That's right next to Tony T. So this works well. Okay. So yeah. So Mike V is actually quite hostile towards us, but as soon as we mention about Green Pipes Point, which is the skate ranch as we know it in the current time, then he'll agree to join us. As long as we do some tricks that are completely humanly impossible, such as a triple impossible. Absolutely not doable by any human being, but we can because, you know, we're the best. So triple kickflip and triple heel flip too.
Right on. How about a triple heel flip?
And that's enough for him to be impressed. And I would be impressed too. If somebody did something that was humanly impossible right in front of me, I would be pretty impressed. Yeah, we've got some skills. Damn right, Mike V, we do have some skills. Alright, So, oh, the one is actually, it's not next to Tony T, this guy. He's actually up on this roof. But that's fine. We can just go to him now. If I can get over there. There we go. 9,000 points. Nice and simple. Let's do it here. There we go. Now we have 400. So I definitely know that it's not more than 400 that we have to spend. So I will look a little silly if it was 300, but I have a feeling it's 400. So now we're completely covered. Okay. So this doesn't have to be in one combo or anything. It's just one long line to pick up all the skate boxes, the shoe spots even. So on easy and normal, you only have to collect, I think, 30 and 40. But on this, you have to collect 50, and there are 50 total. So it's basically just grabbing them all. But the line is super linear. It's very easy to follow. So don't need to worry too much about it. It's all just about, you know, balance and memorizing where to go. Go up here, we grind all the way along, and then once we get to the end, that'll be done. Hop across, there's the final 3. There we go.
Hey man, working on
And now it's time for Tony T's pro goal. So, best of luck to me, I suppose. So, the first thing that we do is we do like some tricks over this little gap while he takes pictures of us. We have to do a melon, then a nose grab, and then a tail grab. As you can see, these are very simple, but they're very slow. And then the final section is where we have to do the 4 big spines. And again, exactly the same thing, where if I were to press start now and retry the goal, it would just make me do the tail grab again, so it would give me a checkpoint. But if we fail any of these, it just kills the entire mission and you have to start again from scratch. So, let's hope that this goal doesn't fail. Otherwise, I'll lose a good 90 seconds or so every time it does. So, best of luck to me. And it'll fail here. Okay, it didn't. Perfect. So, we got through it. We won the coin flip, which is very good. And then Tony T beats us up for some reason. I have no idea why. And he just sits there in silence. Thank you, Tony T. But he's on the team, and that's all that matters. Okay. So, final place is, I believe we have everything cleared out, so we can just go to East LA. And the one, technically penultimate pro goal, but the only one that we can do right now is Stevie Williams. And Stevie Williams' goal is all about nollies. So he teaches you how to do like nollie variants and how to put them into a combo, etc. Which sounds fine in theory. But the problem is that a lot of the gaps that he wants you to make are impossible by normal means. So here it's just a simple nollie on the gap roof. But we need to A, get special, do a super late nollie, and also bone nollie to even have a chance of making it. On this one, we hop up an extra ledge, which usually you wouldn't do. This one is the only one that you do normally, just a simple combo. And then this one, again, we jump as late as possible. That won't even work, because I was too far to the left. But yeah, you need to do a nollie. I'm going too far to the left again. A nollie triple heel flip, but you can see how late you have to jump, and even then, that won't be enough. So you have to jump like a second after you've already, left the ramp. And this should make it, I think. Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, you have to really cheese these things in order to even have a chance of succeeding. I did press the bone dolly there. I'm not quite sure why it didn't work, but that's okay. This is the last one. Got the hard one out of the way. There we go. So bone dollies get you like a bit more distance. So they're actually quite useful. One of the rare things that they implement into this game that is actually useful. And then the final pro goal that you unlock once you've done all the other ones is BAM. And this pro goal is very silly. So, backside tail slide, not a problem. Then he wants you to do a flip over him. Cool. But then the final section, he has a bet with a homeless man. And the bet is that I can't stall on this shopping cart and go all the way down. And if BAM wins, which he's going to because I'm going to do it, he gets to fart in this homeless man's face.
Dude, you got incoming!
Yeah, that's the entire cutscene. There's no audio. It's just really weird and awkward. Okay, so let's see how much it was. Okay, it was 400, so I actually have perfectly enough money, and I didn't look silly, so that's perfect. So that's the last thing we need money for. We don't need to worry about the homeless guy anymore. He can keep his money. We are all good to go, because this is the final segment of the game, the casino. So, the casino is the other segment alongside the oil rig that I mentioned earlier, where, as far as I know, I've never crashed when quitting out here, so we can do a nice little route. As you can see, there are a lot of goals in a very short, in a very tiny space. But first, we're going to go and see Murphy. He wants us to do some trick modifications here. The guy with the BMX is also just staring at us. It's a bit, making me a bit uneven. Hey, bud. He waved to us. That's quite nice. Okay, he's still waving at me. Definitely not creepy. Oh, sorry there. I almost crushed him as well. And then we just ground around this a few times, and that's all good. And then the Zen Master from downtown is actually going to make a return here. I'm not exactly sure why, but he teaches us how to give special energy to other people. So Boone is like struggling to do tricks or something, and the Zen Master teaches me how to transfer my special to him. And this, you know, is a very silly goal, and you're just sat here waiting around for a minute. But obviously, like, you can go anywhere you want, and the goal doesn't reset your position. So wherever you end the goal is where you will be, like, after it. So what we can do is we can go to the least convenient place to get to that has a goal, and not lose any time, because obviously we're we're on a timer here anyway, and there's nothing we can do to speed it up. So we're just waiting for 25 more seconds, and as long as we don't let the power meter go down, then we're good. So we'll just give him enough here, and then we can head through the elevator here to Iggy, and we're just gonna wait. So gives me an opportunity to rest my voice for a second. Been speaking quite a lot.
Do we have time for a donation?
Mm-hmm.
We have $5 coming in from Brisk saying, I'm going to save multiple lives of children. And believe it or not, you actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And this donation is going to the Saints Row character selection. Not really selection, but what the character will look like of Waluigi.
Yes, Waluigi. That is what we like to see. Yeah, thanks very much. So here we're going to quit out because we've gone to the least convenient place, and we need to go back to the most convenient place, which is right here. And this is a really tricky goal to do fast. There are 55 chips that are scattered all around the casino on the rafters and everything. And if you fall down from the rafters, there's no real easy way to get back up. So I'm going to play nice and safe and just run across them if I can. But yeah, so very excited for that, for Waluigi to win, and I'm glad I can influence people to to donate towards it as well. That's going to be great. I do hope it wins. So we grab all the ones on the Raptors, and the other sections are all they're all in the little pool area, which is just through here. So there's one up top, and as you can see, like all of the other goals end in the pool area, which is perfect because this is where we're going to be for the rest of it. Because this goal also ends here. Well, it ends wherever you grab the last chip, of course, but we're going to make sure that we grab it in the poolside, because it makes sense. So we grab all the ones here, grab the ones here. There's one on this corner, and then it's just grinding all the way around to grab the last couple. And then we are right where Iggy is here. And these last final goals are very simple. This one is just kickflip, transfer, transfer, triple kickflip, and then Iggy again. And then this one, all we need to do is acid drop from this diving board, big spine transfer over, air out and stall on this rail. There we go. And then this final one in Casino can be quite tricky if you don't know what you're doing. But you need to vert wall plant just as you're about to touch the speaker. And the final one is to tail, which is just the same, but it's the opposite. So we're hitting it downwards as we go down. And yeah, that's the finale. So, one final goal before we end up here. And one little clip out of bounds that we can use to quickly get to the final segment. So the final goal of the game is that we have like all the footage that we need, but the police are after us because we broke into a casino and they're not very happy with us. So we need to protect the footage and we need to escape the police. Now, the issue is that this, as you can see, this spotlight can sometimes just instantly lock onto you and there is nothing you can do to stop it. So all we can do is just hope, basically. This does scale with difficulty. It is exactly the same. Like it's very easy on easy. They barely spot you. But on sick, they can just lock onto you instantly. And yeah, I am getting trolled here pretty stupendously. As you can see, like it's just locking onto me immediately. Like even if I complete the set piece, I'm just immediately screwed. So all I can do is hope and pray. There we go. That was a much better launch. There we go. And we just get in time. So even there, with like a much better launch off the little boost, we still barely made it. Like this is really broken, this final mission, which is unfortunate. You know, it's quite a sour taste to end the game, but you know, ultimately at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's this game is one of the weaker Tony Hawk games, I would definitely say, but it still has like a place in my heart. So I'll try and slap up here, run up, and cut across. Thankfully, just get out of the way. There we go. Just out of the way of the spotlight. And as you can see, every single time we go into one of the loading transitions back to the skate ranch, we get a checkpoint. So it's not the worst thing if we do end up failing somewhere. We only lose like 10 seconds or so per retry. And then Hollywood is super easy. They barely ever catch you here. Yeah, like you can see, it's very struggles a lot to find me for some odd reason. And this final section, you can also get trolled quite a lot. Because there are cops that are standing on ground level, but their hitbox extends all the way up, like infinitely. So you can grind along like these little wires here, and the cops can still hit you from ground level, which is really dumb. I don't know why they did it, but yeah, it's the way it is. We seem to be good. Yep. So here we go. Final little stretch just through back to the skate ranch. Once we get to the skate ranch and we lose control, it will be time. So it's coming up in just a second. Just gotta escape the helicopter one last time. And that is time. So that, as you can see, is all story mode goals completed, and the story mode completed on sick difficulty. So yeah, overall a pretty solid run for a no reset. Obviously, as I mentioned, this game can be very brutal in terms of like non-linearity. I'm not actually sure what time it was. Arco, do you have the stream up so you can see what time the run finished at?
It seems to be 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 30 seconds.
1:35. That is pretty good. I'm happy with that. So yeah, nice and easy. I did have a pretty generous estimate in retrospect, but you know, you've always got to be safe with games like this. Yeah, so if you're interested in picking up Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, I do have guides for the easier difficulties, which I would recommend, obviously, as a beginner. And there is a Tony Hawk speedrunning Discord. You can find leaderboards on speedrun.com, you know, all that kind of usual stuff. There are a lot of exceptional Tony Hawk players, much better than myself, that play all the different classics that you remember as a kid. Some even play the new games, if that's your thing. Not really my thing. But yeah, but I appreciate you all being here. It's super late, so especially those who are in Europe, I really appreciate you being here. And of course, raising money for a fantastic cause. Thank you to all the people behind the scenes who make these events work. And of course, thanks to Arco as well for being the lovely angelic voice.
Thank you very much as well, Ben, for the excellent run. It was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Great job, and I wish you a good night.
Thank you. Are you reading for any more runs, Arco, after this, or are you done with your shift?
There is one more run. Next up, we have Backyard Skateboarding, ran by Hayetsburg.
Perfect. All right, great stuff. Yeah, thank you again, Arco, and enjoy backyard skateboarding. I'll see you guys later.
All right, see you later. Stay tuned for backyard skateboarding.